Hello students, this is Mrs. O'Connor doing a screencast about the I can statement of how the theory of evolution has developed. And just as we get started, I think it's important to take a second and make sure we know that what evolution actually is. And in the simplest terms, it is the change of a species, plant, animal, anything over time. We talked about it also being a change in the gene pool, but just to simplify it, we can just say a change over time. And really, there were many scientists that contributed to this theory of evolution and how it was developed. But for us, we just kind of concentrated on two. We concentrated on Lamarck, and then we also concentrated on Darwin. I would like to start with Lamarck. From what we know, Lamarck's theory is wrong. And there was a couple of things that were wrong with it. So first I'm just going to kind of explain this picture and tell you what we see happening. Here we've got giraffe A and B. They are both hungry. They both want to eat all of these leaves on the top of the tree. But oh no, their necks are not long enough. They cannot eat these leaves at the top of the tree. So over like months, maybe, months of trying, they can finally reach like the tops of the trees. But because they're still really stretching to get there, they can reach even higher. So what we're seeing is that in one's lifetime, if an animal needed or wanted a trait, they could get it. They could acquire this trait. So basically Lamarck's saying, like, if a giraffe needs long neck, it's just going to stretch and stretch and stretch until it can get the food that it wants, and it happens in that lifetime. And then this giraffe A and B, that have stretched their necks so long, when they reproduce into the next offspring, their baby giraffes, will have just as long as necks because they, as parents, have stretched their necks so long to get these leaves that they would eventually pass on that trait and be successful in competition for resources. So Lamarck really focused on it's going to happen in their lifetime. If they need it or want it, they can get it, and they would acquire it just within that lifetime. Another name of his theory that we use is called use and disuse. Use and disuse. Because what Lamarck also said is that because these giraffes weren't really using their tails as much, that they should have started to shrink. Although now I'm looking at these pictures, it doesn't look like that. But he was saying if you don't use a trait or an adaptation, or you don't use something, it just goes away because you don't need it. Darwin, on the other hand, he had different ideas about how things changed over time. If you can see this picture, sadly there are some dead giraffes. But here's what Darwin said. He said that if you have two giraffes, we've got our giraffe A and our giraffe B, and they live together and they compete for resources, then the giraffe that has the longest neck, in this case, the giraffe that has the longest neck is going to be the giraffe that survives and is able to pass on those traits. So A, sadly, is going to die. Survival of the fittest. This little giraffe couldn't get enough food to eat, so him and his short neck are going to die. B, because it could get enough leaves to survive and reproduce, is then going to make more babies that have just as long of a neck as this animal. So the idea is that Darwin says that some traits are more favorable. Some traits are more favorable than others. And in this case, it's having the long neck. And so if you don't have the long neck, you're going to die, and your genes for the short neck are going to die too. So this giraffe that was able to live and reproduce and pass along is going to pass on some of those favorable traits. Well, it's still going to leave for some variation in the offspring that this giraffe makes. And so even then, there's going to be longer necks. So over time, all of these shorter neck giraffes are going to die off. Generations. All of the shorter neck giraffes are going to die off, while the longer neck giraffes are going to get enough food to eat and reproduce. So his is talking about taking years and years and years and years and years and years. Whereas Lamarck was like, oh no, you can just do it. You just need a long neck. You're just going to like grow your long neck and get a long neck. But Darwin said, no, it doesn't work like that. If you have the trait for long neck, you will be successful. You will be what we call most fit, and you will reproduce, you will survive and reproduce and make more long neck giraffes. And over time, all of the giraffe necks should grow longer and longer because it's what the environment has chosen as being the most fit. So as Lamarck says, like, oh, the animal just chooses what they want or need, Darwin says, no, it's the environment. It's going to choose what is best for that animal and for those variations of traits. Watch it again if you need to. Bye.